Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about how to make your Notion work faster. Now if you're like me and you get a school Chromebook and you're on your Notion and you're like, oh my god, why is this taking so long? Why is it taking forever to load? I have a list of several things for you today. The first thing you should do is to use buttons and automations. So basically, if you don't know what those are, they're a new feature, and on Notion, if you type /button, it'll show up the button option, and then automations go under tables and charts. So like any database that you have. So what you do is you make a button, and then you can make it so that when you press the button, certain things will happen. And same with automation, except for automation, it'll do it automatically. So for example, if a trigger, like you edit a name or you edit a tag or you add a new tag, it'll automatically do this certain thing. Now this may seem counterintuitive, but just think about it. If you're scrolling through your Notion, you have to scroll through all your pictures, all your embeds, all your text. Notion has to load all of those. Just put all your buttons at the top of the screen like I do for my Notion. And then that way, because you don't have to scroll and you have to wait for Notion to load. Number 2 is using less pictures and embeds and using more direct links and bookmarks. Now, if you don't know what the difference between bookmarks and embeds are, basically a bookmark is just like the name, like a caption that you put, and then the URL is at the bottom, so that when you click it, it's basically like a button that transports you to the actual page. But the embed is like the website itself is in your website, and that can be very convenient, but if your computer is really slow, it'll take a long time for the embed to load, especially because Notion has to access the web. And same with pictures, because it just has to load the whole picture, which will take a long time. So what you do instead is, for your embeds, instead of doing that, put direct links or put bookmarks. Direct links often don't look very good, so I would suggest using bookmarks instead, because bookmarks you can like customize the color and everything. Number 3 has to do more in depth with pictures. What you should try to do is, for example, if you have this big square, right, and you have 4 pictures inside, try to make it instead of those 4 pictures, maybe you have just 2 pictures or maybe even 1, because you can stretch the pictures to be as big as you want. You can make it the same size as those 4 pictures we're taking up, but just with 1 picture, so that way Notion, instead of having to load 4 pictures, only has to load 1. Okay, number 4. So if you're deleting your pictures and you're making them bigger and you're like, oh, I really miss my pictures, what you can do is, instead of having those pictures inside of the Notion page itself, you can have them on the cover instead. So at the top of the screen, there's like a small sliver of where you can put a picture, and you can put your pictures there instead. Like your best picture you can put at the top, so it's like very big in size, and you can still see it, but it doesn't take up as much space because Notion will have to load a cover anyways, so you might as well make it load something that's very pretty. And also you can change the icon of what your Notion has. So for example, if you go up to the top and you do change icon, change emoji, whatever it says, click that, but then instead of doing an actual emoji, go to the side where it's custom upload and then choose your own picture, so that way you can have a second picture that's like a little bit smaller but you can still see it. And then Notion's gonna have to load that no matter what, like if you have any sort of emoji or icon. So, you know, choose another good picture. So that way, instead of having all of your pictures like in your Notion itself where it has to load as an additional task, just put it where it has to load it anyway. Number 5 is just a general organization thing. I would suggest trying to condense everything down to be in one page. So what I'm saying is, that way you don't have to scroll down, and then as you're scrolling down, the Notion has to load all these new pages. You don't have to go past these pictures, and Notion doesn't have to use extra data. Number 6 might be a little bit of a weird one, but you know how I was talking about using your own pictures for the covers? That is also going to help you, because don't use Unsplash for your covers. And what I mean by that is, if you go to Notion and you go on the cover and you choose the pictures that you want, you can go on the very right and there's like the Unsplash with like a little icon next to it, and you can choose these very high quality pictures. But the problem with that is many of them are really big in size in terms of pixels. Like some of them are even 5,000 by 3,000 pixels, which is like really big. So yeah, it looks really good, but it's gonna take a while to load. So instead of that, you can get your own pictures that are maybe smaller in pixel size, but you know, they're good quality and everything. Alright, number 7 is use toggle lists. Now if you don't know what I mean by that, you can type /toggle on Notion, and then it'll come up with an option called toggle list. And basically what you do for that is you put a heading and then write anything you want down in the text, and then you can drag that text to be under the toggle heading, in the way that you usually would for bullet points, for example, but this time it would just be under headings. So that way when you click the arrow, the arrow faces sideways, and then it condenses everything you wrote down into that header. So that way Notion doesn't have to load all the text or all the pictures or all the whatever you have in there that you have inside the toggle list, and that makes it a lot easier on the page to load. Okay, these last 3 tips are going to be more technical, but number 8 is limiting your load. So basically what I mean by that is, you know how I said earlier how Notion has to load all these pictures, all these embeds? Well, it also has to load everything in your databases. So if you have a table or a chart, or in my case, a list, what you can do is go to the 3 buttons that are next to the blue new button, so like within the database window itself, and then scroll down until you see the button load limit. And by default, I'm pretty sure this is set to 100. If not, doesn't matter, just click on that and then change that to be 10 pages. That's the minimum. So that way, when Notion first loads in, until you try to access new pages, it'll only load 10. Number 9 is more of a maintenance thing, but it's also very important to keeping your Notion running very fast, which is deleting all of your old unused pages. Now, I'm not saying delete current pages that you are not sure if you're going to use or not. You can go to the left, and then under all of your private pages, you can click on the trash. And then within the trash is all of the pages that you've already deleted. So if you look inside, it'll have the name of the page and then also a trash can button to the very right. If you don't need the page, then you can just delete it permanently by clicking the trash can, and then it'll come up with a confirmation, and then just click yes. Because then when you click yes, it'll automatically delete everything inside, it'll clear up that part of the storage, and Notion will just run this much faster. Alright, the last item on my list for today is avoid using extensions. Now I know this is really tempting because the basic Notion can be a little boring, you know, a little bland, but it will save you a lot if you don't use extensions. So for example, on my personal computer, I have tailored Notion, which changes the font and the background color of Notion on your web browser. But I don't have that on my Chromebook because it takes up too much time trying to load the custom fonts I upload and trying to load the background color. It's just a lot. So instead of having all these extensions, try to make your base Notion a bit more colorful, add more background colors, try to maybe change it up a little bit, try to change it to dark mode or light mode sometimes if you usually use one or the other. And yeah, that's basically all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed, I hope you found this helpful, and if you did, consider subscribing. I really appreciate when you do that, and I also really appreciate all of your kind comments, so thank you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!